What we're going to watch here is Mcfarlane extolling the virtues of his brilliant management and bringing back services. I've investigated some of the claim that Trimet was running these deficits from the year 2008 to 2012, which prompted the biggest service cuts and fare increases in Trimet history in 2012. And what you'll find out, now I'm going to explain it in this video as best I can, given my limited resources to show you, is that the entire crisis at Trimet was a manufactured crisis. There never was a crisis. The funds were almost exactly what they budgeted. In the end, it turned out the funds were higher. They were able to they had more revenue than they expected. As a matter of fact, you'll see that in September 2012, the exact same month that they implemented the service cuts and fare increases, there was a huge spike in tax revenue, tens of millions of dollars. And this, during that same cut, as you remember, Mcfarlane hid raises for himself and his managers. So they knew all along there was no real crisis. And we can prove there was no real crisis. Now, what will that do for anything? Probably nothing, because the media won't pick it up. And no matter how many facts we have, Trimet and Mcfarlane get away with their blatant lies to the public over and over and over. But I'm going to illustrate for you, and this is not just me saying this. Opal brought this point up 2 years ago, just before they implemented these service cuts. Opal called out the management and said, none of these service cuts and fare increases are justified. Well, now when you look at the charts, you'll see that Opal was 100% correct. Of course, Opal got no press on that. Nobody covered it as usual. For some reason, the press won't touch Trimet. Obviously, it's because of the billions of dollars going through there, rippling throughout this city and county, is going to make it impossible for any commercial reporter who's being paid to take a stand against Trimet. All these businesses are connected, and business runs government now, as you know. Anyway, here is what Mcfarlane says, and then I'm going to show you what really happened.
Members of the board, again, thank you for consideration of this budget resolution. As Board Member Prosser noted, has been subject to a great deal of review as by the full board, as well as the Finance and Audit Committee and the General Manager's Budget Task Force over the last few months. I'd first of all say that this budget really continues what I would say is the hard work to stabilize the financial health of the agency. But because of some of the steps we've taken in the past, we're in the position that we can actually restore and add service and improve the quality of the service that we...
Now, let's take a look at Mcfarlane's claim. Okay, he's lying through his teeth, and we have the evidence to prove it. We know the Great Recession was from 2007 to 2010. What we have in front of us here, I don't know if I guess you can't see is 2008 to 2010, because Trimet does not have the figures for before 2008, which is kind of curious if you ask me. So we do have the figures from 2008 to 2010. And when we look at the revenue items, this line represents the tax base here, the red. The thin lines represent the budget. The thick lines represent the actual revenue. So when we look at their chart between 2008 and 2010, we see that they ran approximately 5 million short from the period of January to July. Okay, that's this period here in tax revenue. And then from September 09 to July 2010, they ran, I don't know, looks like 2.5 million in the red. And then it was after that point, revenues actually equaled the budgeted amount. Now down here we see passenger revenue. This is tax revenue in the red, passenger revenue in the blue. We see that the budgeted was almost exactly as the actual till about 2009, and then the fare revenue was higher than they expected, about $3 million, except for this one little spot here in 2010. So we look at all that, and that's not a huge negative balance here. There's no striking negativities here. All right, now. Okay, now we're going to look from the period after 2010, which was the Great Recession ended then. And as far as the tax revenue, we see the thin line budgeted is below the thick line actual. And another interesting thing is, in September of 2012, which is when Trimet instituted the biggest service cuts in their history, they had this huge spike in tax revenues. So they cut services, raised fares, when there was really no deficit at all because they were running on budget. And as a matter of fact, they were running a surplus. And they continued to run that surplus for the balance of the time, up till now. And you see another spike in September of 2013. When it comes to the fare revenue, that also, thick lines represent the actual, the thin lines represent the budget. That also ran at a surplus to what was expected. So what exactly justified the service cuts? We don't see any huge discrepancy in the amount of money coming in and the amount of money going out. The actual facts of the matter are, and Opal actually called them out on this. They got no media attention. Nobody picked up on it. Everybody ignored it except for me. Nobody else picked up on it. Opal brought all this to the board and said the service cuts and fare increases were not justified by the facts. And when we look at these facts, and these are all Trimet figures, by the way, that we've graphed out, when we look at these facts, we see that the crisis in service was a manufactured crisis. It was made up by the Trimet management, and we don't know their motivation other than to use that as some kind of anti-union propaganda that they could say has to do with unionism. But we can see that it was manufactured. There was no basis at all for the fare increases and service cuts. So we don't know what they were thinking when they implemented those.